You didn't lose your mind. Someone slowly convinced you that you were losing it. There's a specific kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from overworking. It's not the kind you fix with sleep. It's the kind where you wake up one morning and realize you've spent months, maybe years, second-guessing every thought you've ever had. You replay conversations. You wonder if you remembered things wrong. You find yourself apologizing for things you can't quite explain, and somehow, in the middle of all of it, you stop trusting yourself. Most people never connect that feeling to another person. They just assume something is wrong with them. If you've ever been told you're too sensitive or too emotional, or that you always make things bigger than they are, there's a good chance the world has framed that as your problem. A flaw. Something to manage or correct. But that framing misses something important. That reaction, that confusion, that constant self-doubt, isn't weakness. It's actually a very logical response to something that was being done to you. Something most people don't have a name for until long after it's already happened. What we're talking about is a specific form of psychological influence, quiet, invisible, and remarkably effective. It doesn't look like control. It doesn't feel like manipulation in the moment. It feels like love, like concern, like someone who just knows you better than you know yourself. And that is exactly what makes it so difficult to see. This is how narcissistic brainwashing works. Not the dramatic version people imagine. Not loud, not obvious. The silent kind. The kind that operates slowly, beneath the surface, until the version of you that exists inside the relationship barely resembles the person you were before it started. Psychologists have studied what happens to the brain inside prolonged manipulation, and the findings are striking. When we experience unpredictable cycles of affection and withdrawal, warmth followed by coldness, praise followed by criticism, the brain's dopamine system responds in a way that's almost identical to how it responds to addictive substances. The unpredictability itself becomes the hook. Research on intermittent reinforcement shows that irregular rewards actually create stronger emotional bonds than consistent ones. The brain keeps reaching for the next moment of warmth because it doesn't know when it's coming. At the same time, when someone consistently tells you that your perceptions are wrong, that you misheard, misremembered, or overreacted, the brain begins to doubt its own signals. This isn't a choice. It's a neurological response to a persistent social environment. The mind adapts to the reality it's given, even when that reality is being carefully constructed by someone else. For many people, this kind of relationship feels strangely familiar, not because they chose it, but because the nervous system recognizes the pattern. If you grew up in an environment where love was conditional, where approval had to be earned, where conflict was unpredictable, your nervous system learned to adapt. It learned to scan for the other person's mood, to anticipate, to shrink, to stay calm at all costs. That adaptation kept you safe then. And when a narcissistic partner or person enters your life, that same nervous system reads them as familiar, as home, even when home was never truly safe. The body knows the rhythm. It knows how to exist in that kind of tension. And it mistakes that recognition for connection. None of this makes you damaged. None of this means you were naive or foolish. The people who fall into these dynamics are often extraordinarily perceptive, deeply empathetic, and genuinely committed to relationships. Those are not weaknesses. They are the exact qualities that a particular kind of person learns to locate and use. And the person doing it, they are often not twirling a metaphorical villain's cape. Many of them operate from their own wounds, their own distorted sense of reality, their own survival patterns. Understanding that doesn't excuse what happened. It just makes the picture more complete. Here's the part that almost no one talks about. The brainwashing doesn't feel like confusion while it's happening. It feels like clarity. The narcissist becomes the lens through which you understand yourself, your flaws, your patterns, your worth. And because they've positioned themselves as the one who truly understands you, dismantling that lens feels like losing yourself, not finding yourself again. That's the quiet cost. Not the relationship itself, but the disorientation that follows leaving it. The strange grief of not knowing who you are without someone else's voice in your head interpreting your every move. That grief is real. It deserves to be named. If you recognized something in what was just described, if some part of this felt less like new information and more like something being put into words for the first time, that recognition matters. It means your mind has been quietly holding this understanding, waiting for language to arrive around it. You were not broken by this. You responded exactly the way a human nervous system responds when it's been given a distorted map of reality. The confusion wasn't yours to begin with. The self-doubt wasn't born in you. It was placed there, carefully, over time. And the fact that you can see it now means it no longer owns the whole room. There's something else worth understanding, something about the specific moment the dynamic shifts, about why people sometimes feel more lost after leaving than they did while still inside it. That quiet collapse has a name and a very clear psychological explanation. If that's where you are, or where you've been, the next part of this might be exactly what you've been looking for.